Hi guys, be welcome to your channel and welcome to another of my videos. So today we have a very interesting video. I was the other day eating in Olive Garden and I heard some people talking. They pretty much were talking about, like, I guess there was an old couple. And another person was saying, "Oh, you guys are like baby bloomers," and I was like, I actually never heard of that term before. So I looked it up and I thought it was a very interesting video to make, to see, what generation you fall under. So that's pretty much what we're going to be talking on today's video. All right, so the first category would be the greatest generation. And thus are pretty much people born between 1901 and 1927. And the greatest generation, basically, it's called like that because they were during the Great Depression and obviously with the World War II as well. So that pretty much play a very important thing on how it was called this generation, because pretty much they had to live through all the craziness between the Greatest Depression between those times. And the next group we have is the silent generation. This generation are born between 1928 to 1945. And basically, it was called the Silent Generation, which the Times Magazine in 1951 gave this name to this group, to this generation specifically. And it's because after they were during the World War II, obviously, they were after also the Great Depression. So basically, this generation specifically, they were really silent. Like they were not allowed to execute their freedom of speech, for a way to call it. There were so many crazy things going on, obviously, and they couldn't really speak up their mind. They were really restricted and not able to raise their voice. These people are obviously nowadays with us too. Like, I mean, my grandmother is part of that silent generation. And obviously there were different times. There were hard times as well. Any pretty much times between the World War II and the Great Depression, they were like the worst parts of the humanity. And the very next group we have is, I love this actually, this name. I think it's really funny. But it's the baby boomer. And basically baby boomers were born between 1946 and 1964. My parents are baby boomers. My husband's mom, my mother-in-law, she's baby boomer. So there's pretty much a lot of people around right now that are baby boomers. Pretty much thing that was going on the silent generation, they say, no more, we don't want this, we don't want to respect the institution. So that's where it was born, specifically the hippie movement, the peace and love. And basically that was obviously when people start speaking up. But the main reason of this movement specifically is to speak and raise your voice, and obviously promote peace around the world. So the baby boomer, pretty much they start fighting for the rights. Also, as well, the baby boomers went through a lot of technology, which that pretty much, well, the technology growing up thing, this specific baby boomer name came from a lot of memes and that younger generation have for these people who are struggling to handle like smartphones, social media, which, they pretty much leave the whole starting process of technology up until now with artificial intelligence. So it's been really hard for them, but I think they're adapting pretty well. And the next group we have is the Generation X. This generation were born between 1965 and 1980. The Generation X basically continue the whole speak up your voice, claim for your rights and stuff from baby boomers. So they kept with that specific mindset. And that's why exactly between the Generation X, that's where women right came across. And women obviously were allowed to, like do jobs designed only supposedly for men. So that's where women had more rights to, look for different jobs and look for a better pay opportunity, not just be the housewives, basically. The Generation X was also a very important part of the history too, because that's when all the computers started developing. Most of the Generation X kind of like started the whole computer thing. They went through the first computers, the starting of the internet. So definitely that's where the whole thing started. Next group we have are the millennials, which I am a millennial. My husband is a millennial, and pretty much my brother and all my cousins are within this category. And the millennials were born between 1981 to 1996. So millennials were pretty much already more used to the computer thing, adapting to the new technologies coming up. I remember, if you're a millennial who doesn't remember the Nokias, like that was my very, very first cell phone. I remember the snake game, which, you would would be eating and make it bigger. So that was one of my favorite games all times. And that was my first cell phone. And we have Messenger too, which you would like chat with your friends. We have Eris too to download music. So we have a lot of popular things going on. Now we come across to Generation Z. Generation Z, they were born with the smartphone in their hands. So basically Generation Z, they actually had it not easier, but definitely more accessible to technology, to smartphones specifically. And that actually kind of like backfire a little bit, because that's where it started this cyberbullying, which let me tell you guys that before, in my times, when somebody bullied someone, it was not really called bullying. It was called like just giving you a hard time, bullshitting you, things like that. But it didn't have like specifically a name. So that's when pretty much on Generation Z, which are between 1996 to 2012, that's when the whole bullying term started. And honestly, I'm glad that that was categorized, because that means we are actually addressing the situation. Also, the Generation Z are very aware of like the climate change. Since actually millennials were also kind of like the same vibe, were kind of instructed or thought about the climate change, the ozone, taking care of the ozone layer and stuff, recycling. So pretty much the Generation Z has a mindset. Also, the Generation Z are very more focused on like vegan options, like not stopping cruelty to the animals as well. They become more humane towards not just each other, but also towards other creatures, which definitely we all should have that mindset. If we would have that mindset, we wouldn't have right now Gaza versus Israel, or Ukraine versus Russia versus Ukraine. So which I think that honestly has no purpose, and just hurting people and animals too, because a lot of times people don't think about all the animals are actually suffering because of that, besides obviously the people. And for last but not least, we have the Generation Alpha. Generation Alpha are born between 2013 and 2025. After 2026, we don't know what they're gonna call it, but anyways, so Generation Alpha are pretty much the younger kids now, kids between the oldest kid you will see, it's like 10, 11, and obviously the newborns. But obviously, these kids too are more totally into video games, into AI, into smartphones too. Those kids now basically are very thoughtful between they don't have this racism, which honestly kids never have that racism vibe and thought, you know, mindset. We pretty much families transmit to them, and basically they're more as well towards like inclusion. There's actually more interracial expansion between that specific group, because that now like a lot of other cultures and people are just getting together, which is exactly what it should be. The same mindset about taking care of the animals, more like a, not vegan specifically, because that's, I guess that's a choice you make when you have more knowledge about what's going on with the animals and stuff, but definitely are more considerate against animals and each other. And okay guys, so let me know in the comments what you think about this video, which generation you fall under. Like I say, I'm a millennial. It's really doesn't really make a point. It's not anything that is gonna change your life or get you a better job to know these kind of things, but I thought it was a very interesting subject just to know exactly the different generations. Thank you so much guys for being on this video. Don't forget to give me your thumbs up and share this video so we can keep growing up in this channel. Love you guys. See you on the next one. Hasta la. Bye bye.